Evening, everybody. It's Matt here from the Blue Room. This is obviously What's the Score. Hope everybody's well. Dave Downey should be joining me any second now, really. Not quite sure where he is. In fact, he's just coming into the chat now. We are going to preview the game against Newcastle United coming up this weekend. Obviously, big game for the Toffees. And Dave is here now. How are you doing, mate? Are you okay? Having a good Halloween?
Mate, you okay?
Dave, can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. You can hear me?
Yeah, we are. We're live on YouTube now, mate. Just saying, you've had a good Halloween so far?
Yeah, no, I haven't been scared yet. So, yeah, I suppose it's been all right, yeah.
Yeah, literally just come on air now. If you've got any questions for me or Dave in the comments box about Halloween, matches tomorrow, anything, just let us know. But we're here as primarily as we do on What's the Score to preview the lads match, and obviously Everton are going to Newcastle tomorrow without some key players. Of course, James Rodriguez confirmed absence, Luca Dean, Richarlison suspended, and Seamus Coleman also injured as well. Just before we get to speak about the game as a whole, Dave, I think it's what's been interesting for me this weekend. I watched the match last night, Wolves versus Palace, watched City against Sheffield United lunchtime today, and just watched Chelsea as well against Burnley. And Chelsea in particular were very impressive today. It sort of feels like this weekend to start off with, the side you'd expect to be getting their act together are starting to get their act together.
Yeah, it feels like there's been a little bit of a lull. I mean, I was listening to Pep Guardiola's interview earlier today, and he was talking about how his side have taken so long to get going simply because of the shortage of the gap between the two seasons that have just gone. I think we need to pay a lot of attention to that with certain clubs. City obviously being one of them. You look at the players they've yet to bring back as well. You've got Aguero, Gabriel Jesus. Big players are missing for these sides, yet they're having to grind out results. And he's saying that he's not expecting his side to fire on all cylinders until after the international break. Now, whilst clubs like ourselves have been able to exploit that, I think we're starting to see, again, the likes of ourselves plateau a little bit simply because injuries are starting to take their toll, and this fast start and people playing 2 games a week is starting to catch up with various clubs, Matt. And we're going to bear the brunt of that, I think, tomorrow when we see what the lineup is against Newcastle. But for other sides, I think they're starting to find their stride. City being one, obviously. I think United as well will come on a little bit stronger, and Chelsea, the case in point today, you were fantastic against Burnley. That stubborn resistance we saw from Burnley against Spurs was almost non-existent as Chelsea cut through them. Probably should have been 5 or 6 as well on the day. So, yeah, I think we're starting to see a few of the big boys starting to really start ticking over now.
And I think it's not that I'm saying that Everton's best side can't match these, because I think it's shown in the early weeks of the season that it could. But sort of bringing this towards the game tomorrow, it feels like one of those matches where Everton have just got to grit their teeth and get through it. And I mean, I'm talking about even a point. Just get it out the way. You've got 4 of your best players out injured or suspended. You're against a bit of a weird side in Newcastle. Not the best side, but can turn up and potentially cause problems on the day. And it just feels like the sort of game and the sort of weekend where we just need to grit our teeth and get through it. Because while we've shown what we can do early in the campaign, we're in a situation now where we've got some key players out. They'll be back again, obviously, in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Whereas the other teams are starting to get there. It's sort of been like the opposite of what we've got. But tomorrow does have the feel of that sort of game, doesn't it? Where you just get out, get on the other side of it with a positive result of any kind and forget about it forever.
It does feel like it's going to be a real grind, doesn't it? I mean, we went up there a couple of years ago, I think, under Sam Allardyce, and ground out a 1-0 victory then. I think we ground out a 1-0 victory last year as well in Carlo Ancelotti's first away game.
2-1 it was, wasn't it? Dom scored twice.
Yeah. And they were the epitome of sort of winning ugly. So, I mean, we've got form going to Newcastle and having to do that sort of thing. And tomorrow, I think, will be very much the same. They've got a key player out in John Joe Shelby as well, who makes everything tick in their midfield. So I think it'll be quite an attritional affair at St James's Park. If we can get a little bit of quality going, Matt, if we can get Sigurdsson possibly on set pieces to swing it into Dom, because that to me is the glaring omission from tomorrow, is that we won't have that quality to throw into the box for Dom. So we're going to have to find a different way of scoring goals. And you take out James, Richarlison and Luca Dean out to any team, and you're going to suffer the consequences. And that's what we're going to have to put up with tomorrow. So I think everybody looking at this game going into it needs to have a little bit of a reality check in terms of where we're at. I mean, we might well be top of the table. We probably won't be top of the table because Liverpool play soon, don't they? And they only need to avoid defeat to go top. So I think that works against you psychologically as well. I mean, I think a lot of people are caught up in the fact that we're top of the league, and it has been brilliant. I mean, we've marketed ourselves on it for the past month or so, haven't we? And everybody's loved it. But when things are as they are right now, I think it's time to cut other players a little bit of slack who will be forced into this team where Carlo Ancelotti would have preferred not to. And I'm talking about the likes of Anthony Gordon, possibly Tom Davis if he comes in as well. These players aren't being thrown in because there's a desire for them to play so soon. Yes, they will be needed across the season, but they're more utilised as squad players. And Ancelotti, I'm sure, would love to have them as that. But the fact they're going to have to be relied upon is something we all need to come to terms with and thoroughly get behind them. I mean, I will bite your hand off right now for a scrappy 1-0 win, Matt, because we've done that a couple of times up there. But I think it's got to be a patient one for us, really. And I'm not expecting many goals in the game, even though you've got two defences who have conceded quite a few of late. I think it will be a midfield battle. And look, we've got Alan, we've got Doucouré both fit. Let's hope that they revert back to the fantastic starts they made for us. Doucouré in particular, I think he has the ability, strength, power and finesse to take any game by the scruff of the neck. If he does that, Everton have got a really good chance of still coming away with 3 points from this.
Well, I think that the flanks has obviously been spoken about a lot because we've got a lot of players absent. Probably your best right back, best right midfielder, best left back, best left midfielder, all aren't playing. But I think that midfield is interesting as well. I think, and you mentioned someone there in Sigurdsson. I'd not even thought about this until today, to be honest, in regards to set pieces and how much of a weapon they've been for us this season and how important they've been for Dom this season in regards to just getting on the end of things. And I suppose one of the things that now I'm sat here thinking about it that makes me think that Sigurdsson might play is that. Because if you take him out and put someone like Delphin maybe, or you put, Gomez in, all of a sudden you look around going, who's taking this corner or who's taking this free kick? Because the players you're bringing in, Iwobi's not necessarily good on set pieces. Bernard's not somebody who's going to swing it in a dangerous ball, is he? Either John Joe Kenny's not either. It's one of them where you think you might just get Sigurdsson on the pitch for that reason.
Yeah, and the other thing about that, Matt, is that there's a psychological element to all of this, and I've been really keen in sort of studying the players so far this season when it's come to this, because each of them now have different roles. When we sign those new midfield players, James most pertinently in Sigurdsson's case, it's almost like an indication to him that, look, we've put up with what you've had to offer for a while and it hasn't been good enough or consistent enough. Now, when you get your chance, you're either going to have to fight for it or you'll be given it through this circumstance right now. The gauntlet laid down to him is to respond to that challenge that's been set. He hasn't done it in the past for us. We know this. How many times we had conversations about how much money we've wasted on Gylfi Sigurdsson in the past. And even last week, defeat to Southampton, I think he started okay in the first half, but then tailed off completely and went back to his finger-pointing worst, if you like, in that midfield in the second half. He needs, I think, sort of in between his ears is the area that needs the most work with Sigurdsson. Not anything technical or physical, because he can still get about the pitch. He's not required to sprint all over the place like he may have done when we first got him from Swansea. Because that was his game at Swansea, was to hunt down, and didn't he have the statistics as the best runner in the Premier League when we signed him?
Played loads of games back to back as well, so he was durable in that sense as well. Yeah,
we don't need that now. We need quality and efficiency in possession and on the ball and in dead ball situations. Now, we'll win our fair share of free kicks, I'm pretty sure of that. Whoever comes in on the flank, Gordon gets fouled a hell of a lot, Bernard gets fouled a hell of a lot. Taking over the mantle from Richarlison, who's the most foul player I think I've ever seen in my life. If he's the one who's given that responsibility of whipping balls into the box, he has to get it right. None of this first man nonsense. He simply has to put it on a sixpence for Dom to attack. And unfortunately, Matt, I don't see many other ways of us scoring goals tomorrow, other than from set pieces. Another one who's a threat, Michael Keane, because he's looked on fire in the air. When anything comes near him in the box, he invariably puts it in the back of the net. And he's somebody who's really hit his stride this season. I have no problems with Michael Keane right now. I know many people still have reservations and did do before this season, but he's somebody I think Ancelotti's put his arm around and really starts to get the best out of. So it wouldn't surprise me if someone like him gets on the score sheet here. and Everton go for a little bit more of a direct approach from wide areas rather than playing through the middle. But I suppose it depends on the personnel he decides to choose to put in these wide areas. If assuming Sigurdsson gets a start, again, as he did against Southampton, then you're looking at how important these wide areas are, Matt. Who does he go with? Does he persist with Iwobi? I'm inclined to think he might.
I think he'll play him on the right.
Yeah, I don't think he's the type, Ancelotti, who just completely dismisses a player like that. And if let's hope Iwobi's been barking at his door, saying, "Look, I know I've let you down here, but I really want to prove myself," and really pull his socks up in training and prove that to the manager. In the other areas, I mean, we have numbers, we just don't have sufficient quality, I would say. Bernard, I think, come on and he put a real shift in without doing anything of decent note against Southampton, and I feel as if it's time for him. It's do or die for him now when he's getting these opportunities. Otherwise, he'll be shipped off in January or the summer. Look, we don't have any transfer fee hanging over us with Bernard. It's just strictly wages, isn't it? So I think it's do or die time for some players, Matt. And look, what better place to do it than tomorrow when our backs are against the wall, playing a side that you don't know what you're going to get. It's Jekyll and Hyde team, Newcastle. They could be fantastic. They could be woeful. It's a real opportunity for some of the squad players, not least him and Anthony Gordon as well.
Yeah, and one we haven't mentioned is Niels Nkunku, who's we're expecting to start at left back, and he was just so exciting, wasn't he, in the League Cup games earlier in the campaign, and had so much to offer going forward. And I think quite crucially, he seemed to link up well, really, with whoever he played in front of him, be it Gordon, be it Iwobi, whoever. I'm excited to see what he can do, really, Dave, because I think Newcastle are going to be quite stodgy in defence. So they're going to let Everton have the ball. So I think he's going to get lots of opportunities to tear forward on that left-hand side and get crosses into the box. And as someone who, Newcastle won't know loads about going into this game, I think he could provide a real threat for us.
He really could, and he's one cool customer, isn't he? You see the way he conducts himself, not in too much of an arrogant way, because I think he does the basics very, very well. But he knows where he can take risks. He seems to have an intelligence to his play in how he links up with the man in front of him. Like you say, it's been a couple of different players as well, which will suit us really well, given the fact we don't know who's going to start there, and it won't be Carlo Ancelotti's first choice. This lad looks like somebody who's just loves to play. And you get that excitement when you watch a play. Do you remember we interviewed Andrei Kanchelskis a couple of years ago, and we questioned him about playing with a smile on his face. And Nkunku seems to do that. There's that cheeky little wink, wasn't there, when he set up the back heel of Fleetwood for, I think, Sigurdsson. It was good that day.
Wasn't it?
It was Moise Keane. It was opposite, complete grump before he got his big move to PSG. I really like this kid. I think he can go places, Matt. I think I wouldn't surprise me if you was to speak to him internally at the football club. I bet you he has designs on that left back slot already in terms of making it his own. Never mind Luca Dean. He'll be licking his lips when he saw that ban was rescinded. I bet you that internally, he'd never admitted, obviously, but I bet you inside he was like, "Oh, I'm gutted here. I could have had 3 games there." But now he's only got 1 to impress, and that could do us well. That could serve us a real bonus at that in that position, because he'll be absolutely gagging to play well. And looking to prove himself and really make competition out of that left back area. We're blessed there, aren't we? Really, we always have been a full back in the last decade or so, with Seamus on the other side. And now hopefully young Ben Godfrey as well, even though it's not his natural position. With Nkunku back up to Luca Dean, he won't want to sit on the bench for too long, mate. He won't want loan moves. He wants to play in the Premier League, and it looks like he wants to play for Everton as well. So yeah, let him off the leash, let him go, and I don't have any reserves whatsoever about him starting the game.
I think he could potentially link up well with Bernard if he played on that left-hand side. It seems like that could be a good fit, although, Gordon was really good with him, wasn't he, as well? I think
with Bernard, I think a little bit more, Matt, because Bernard sticks to his position. I don't see Bernard popping up in different areas of the pitch. I think if he's told to play on the left-hand side, that's where he'll stick. I don't think he's somebody who gets chalk on his boots either. So Nkunku will have the run of that side of the pitch. You would think it'd be fired into Bernard's feet. Some close control, maybe a quick trick or two, and Nkunku's gone on the overlap. Where you would have that concern is if it was Iwobi, because that's where we went wrong last week, wasn't it? With Luca Dean just wasn't getting any attention from him down that side. Bernard's the one more disciplined on that left, I think. So that probably is a glove fit. in my opinion. Gordon's somebody, I think, who would like to cut inside, wouldn't he? And try and affect play in the number 10 spot and link with the striker.
He's more of like a wide forward, isn't he, Gordon, than a wide midfielder?
Yeah, I'd like to see him play possibly a little more infield, Matt. If we had the luxury, of course, if we had Richarlison on that side, you maybe look at putting Gordon more of in a central role if you were going to try that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be a toss-up between those two. And you're looking at Wolby on the other side. Now, is that enough to get at Newcastle? Well, it certainly should be, because this is a side that concedes a lot of goals. They're a side that's very, very indifferent defensively. And it's a side that we know very, very well in terms of getting 3 points. We've got basically the same team going down there, but for Alan and Decore are going to be playing against them. So we got that win last year. I'm sure it's fond in the memory, simply because it was Carlo's first away win. So I mean, there's ways we can exploit Newcastle, no doubt about it, Matt. The back door is the other sort of concern I have to an extent, because I think they have a certain way about how they attack teams, and it can be a mixture of all sorts of different things.
They've got attacking threats, haven't they? You know, Wilson, St. Maximin, Fraser are all hardy players who can hurt you on the day. And
quick as well, more importantly, Matt. And Everton's defenders and pace don't really go hand in hand when we've had Keane and Mina at the back there. So you're probably looking at these full-backs. I mean, I've seen people say, does he play with wing-backs and maybe try and, go toe-to-toe with the likes of St. Maximin and Almiron and Fraser. I mean, they have got some really, really quick, efficient players. Where I don't think we'll be too bothered is aerially. They don't seem to have anybody other than the centre halves who will battle for us.
Lascelles is out as well, isn't he? He's been confirmed he's going to miss it. So
yeah, who's the guy who scored 2 against us? Was it Lejeune?
Oh God, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's bad memories there.
We've got the whole Pickford at Newcastle angle as well, haven't we, mate? That's all.
We have. Yeah, it's for me. If I was a neutral on this, it'd be one that I'd try and avoid if I was putting £1 on the result. To be honest, Matt, because this could go any way, any which way, couldn't it? But important for us, I think you emphasised at the start of the conversation, it's important for us that we come away with it without a defeat. That batch of 3 games, it'll be quite a poor return. It'll be 2 points from 3 games, and more importantly, I think we go on a 4-week spell without a victory as well. So yes, it will prolong that, but I don't think a point would be the worst. So it all depends on the circumstance in which we get it. If we go there and pepper their goal and come away with a point, I'll be devastated, because we should be putting Newcastle to the sword. But if we go there and it's a scrappy affair and it requires some last-ditch defending, who knows, maybe a save or 2 from Pickford, and he keeps his head because there's no fans there. That is actually a big thing for Pickford, isn't it? There's no Newcastle fans there. Then you would probably take a draw, but I still think we should have enough to do these. It's just a question of getting that supply into Dom, which is crucial. We create chances aplenty now with those players on the pitch that are going to be absent. Can the others step up? That's the big question.
I think as well, look, trying to be positive, I think this is the sort of game that if you do come through with 3 points, it sets you up. It really sets you up. That you can go to away from home in the Premier League, go off 4 of your best players and win. That's a big boost for everyone in the squad. Maybe not necessarily the 4 lads who've been missing, but if you're a player coming into that side and you feel like you're contributing to things, then that's massive, and it sort of unifies everybody. So fingers crossed if you can get through, it can provide a bit of a platform going forward.
I was going to say, I actually think it's a big statement. If Everton were to go there and get 3 points tomorrow, it's a big statement, because I think the narrative that's playing out now is that Everton have had this sort of honeymoon period and it's going to tail off a little bit. When people read a little bit more into that and see the injuries we're going there with, I think they'll think that even more and emphasise that, Everton had that great start to the season. They're not going to sustain it, and look, they're probably going to be in a battle for the Europa League spots. I think that's how this narrative goes for many people. If Everton go there and prove that they've got a squad to compete and they've got a squad to really grind it out and pick up 3 points when the chips are down, that is going to be a huge shot in the arm, both for us, but it's a defiant message to everybody else as well, that, it didn't all come tumbling down after Southampton beat us, and we're not going to play along to this. You've had your time now, Everton, let the big boys take over. It's about a statement of intent that we're here to stay and grind it out with these sides at the top end of the league.
Yeah, I'll quickly run through some comments before we sign off. Livevid said I'd take a scrappy 1-0 victory. I think we all would there, mate. Chris Hammond saying, I'll take a draw now. Natty Coe has said, if it had not been for Richarlison's stupid petulant tackle, we would have beaten Southampton. If we lose tomorrow, there'll only be 2 players to blame. I'm not entirely sure who the second one is there. There's no on that. I think Southampton would have been a hard game regardless, mate, to be fair.
If Richarlison wasn't it?
Yeah.
Even with Richarlison, yeah, I agree. I think it would be. Because, well, essentially, what I think the point is that, you've got him in there instead of Iwobi, which is a massive upgrade, if we're honest.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, he got that much of the ball. But then Southampton would have accustomed their tactics to having Richarlison to cope with. So it's a bit of an impossible one to answer. Yeah.
I don't think. Jeff Thompson, I don't know if that's the former Australian fast bowler or not, Dave, said Lascelles is missing tomorrow, meaning that should be getting plenty of service into the box. I consider a change to 4-4-2 for this game. Gordon, Alan, Decore, Iwobi, Sigurdsson and Dom up front. CJEFC for life. Iwobi doesn't look arse at the best of times. And Dave Mack said, if you look back at our match versus Brighton, we were overrun in midfield, but won on the break. Midfield overrun again by Saints and by Liverpool. Our outball has been to Richarlison, who drags us up the pitch. That's the one of the other keys, isn't it? They've got to find a valve to get out when they're under pressure, and whether that's Calvert-Lewin going back to run the channels a little bit more, or Gordon just being able to get in behind. They do need to find a way out of those spells where they just pen back a little bit. And Richarlison gives you that.
Well, I feel as if another player has the key to that, Matt, and he will play tomorrow, and it's Alan, because those midfield deficiencies, and I think that's a really good comment, that those midfield areas where we've basically conceded possession and the sort of the dominance of games and decided to play on the counter-attack. I think we have 2 assertive, dominant midfield players there, particularly Alan. And what I've seen from him a couple of times is go, and I've mentioned this a few times on the weekly, he's gone into different positions, he's moved out of position, and somebody's had to come in and accommodate for that. I'm pretty sure it will be just a case of him adapting to what Ancelotti wants in this side, but it's certainly not running around like a headless chicken. And he's been found doing that a couple of times, particularly when he's been in possession himself. He's lost it high up the pitch. He's brilliant at what he does, but he hasn't got the legs to get back. He's not Decore. If Decore does that, then fine. You can accept that risk because he's quick enough to get back and recover. I don't think Alan is. If he has a little bit more of a discipline to his game, and can sort of sit in where you want him to and allow Decore to be the one who goes, then I think that's where Everton profits in a midfield battle.
Yeah, I think there'll be a big emphasis, probably the biggest emphasis so far since he come to Everton, on what he can do on the ball tomorrow. I think he's going to see a lot of the ball in the game tomorrow, so they
will concede the lion's share of possession, and that's where he needs to be glad. I don't have a problem with him on the ball, but it's the areas in which he decides to move himself into when he collects the ball. And if he loses it, what Everton then have to cope with, because they will be lightning quick. This will be like a home game for us tomorrow, I think. It will have a lot of the ball. Newcastle sit deep and try and pick us off on the break with those fast players in attack. We need to be efficient with the ball.
Just before we wrap up, Dave, Jay Painter has said, why is Dave in the airport waiting room?
I'm not. I'm actually in the BBC in work.
On your break?
This is the 5th floor. It's like the canteens over there. But like, obviously, because a lot of people work from home, there's not many in on a Saturday night at just after 5 o'clock. So I found myself a nice little comfy area to sit.
There we go. Yeah, we'll wrap up there anyway. We are at 5:30. But yeah, thanks for everyone for getting involved. Finally, Dave, before we go, how's it going to go tomorrow? What's your prediction?
I think we'll sneak it 2-1. I think that we'll see mistakes galore. I don't think it'll be pretty. I think we'll be talking about possibly one going in off someone's backside, perhaps an own goal or 2, or a penalty set piece. But either which way it is, I think Everton will come away with 3 points and probably our biggest 3 points of the season, to be honest.
I reckon it'll be a 1-1. Bit more apprehensive about it. I think we'll struggle to create chances, but
puts a big pressure on the United game, Matt, if you don't win.
Yeah, but I feel all right about that with Digne back and Rodriguez back and potentially Coleman back as well. I feel like we might be okay there, but yeah, it feels like it's going to be a real challenge for us tomorrow. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But thanks very much to everyone for watching and getting involved. Of course, we'll be back with post-match reaction here on YouTube tomorrow and in all usual places. Cheers to Dave. Enjoy the rest of your Halloween Saturday night, and we'll speak to you again soon here on the Blue Room.